All right, welcome back to part two of our deep dive.
Thanks for sticking with us.
So, we just spent part one talking about the parent's wound, the one standing in the shadows. But the second episode is for the gifted, favored child. The one who feels the universe owes them an easy road.
Because it is so easy to assume the favorite kid has it made. They get the praise, the attention, the literal and metaphorical luxury items.
Joseph is that special child.
Yes. But the book argues that giving a child a sense of destiny without the character to carry it, well, it's like handing a teenager the keys to a Ferrari before they've learned to drive. It is incredibly dangerous.
The danger lies in how the favored child processes all that unearned privilege. In our historical narrative, Joseph has these massive prophetic dreams.
He dreams that his brother's bundles of grain bow down to his bundle.
And later that the sun, moon, and stars are bowing to him. What's wild is that the dreams are accurate. He really is destined for something world-altering.
But his fatal flaw is his total lack of maturity. He is dripping with untested arrogance. He doesn't hold those dreams quietly.
No. He marches right up to his 11 older brothers, who are already miserable and drowning in his shadow, and basically announces, hey guys, great news, someday you're all gonna be my servants.
It demonstrates a staggering lack of empathy. Joseph believed that because he had the coat and because he had the dream, the destination was guaranteed.
This translates so perfectly to the trap of the modern gifted kid. A child is told from the age of 6 that they are brilliant. They are put in the gifted programs, their parents clear every obstacle out of their way.
And they begin to confuse the coat, the label of being special, with actual character.
They assume their potential is an elevator ride straight to the top. They expect greatness to just land in their lap.
But when you believe destiny is an elevator, you don't develop the stamina to climb the stairs. So what happens when that brilliant, coddled kid hits 22, enters the real world, and faces their first major rejection?
They don't just stumble, they completely shatter, because friction was always removed from their path.
So life has to step in and do the parenting that Jacob failed to do. Because Joseph lacked the character to handle his destiny, life brutally dragged him through the mud to build it.
The next phase of his story is a masterclass in breaking down entitlement.
The dismantling of Joseph's ego happens in a very specific, painful sequence. First is the descent. His brothers finally reach their breaking point. They strip him of the coat.
The physical manifestation of his specialness.
Right, and they throw him into a dry, dark cistern. The pit.
Think about the sensory experience of that. He goes from being the pampered favorite to sitting in absolute darkness, listening to his brothers eat a meal above him while they casually negotiate his sale.
He is utterly powerless.
Yeah.
Stripped of the one identity he had. He is hauled out of the pit and sold to passing traders for 20 pieces of silver.
The absolute death of his entitlement.
He goes from dreaming of a throne to being treated as literal cargo. But Egypt is where we finally see a shift. He is purchased by an Egyptian official named Potiphar.
And instead of sulking or screaming, do you know who my dad is? Joseph actually puts his head down and works.
He doesn't even speak the language. Yet he becomes so remarkably competent in his enslavement that Potiphar puts him in charge of the entire estate.
He begins to build the muscle of character, but I have to jump in here because this next part of the story with Potiphar's wife is so deeply frustrating.
Oh, the temptation.
Yes! She repeatedly tries to seduce Joseph. She offers him power, comfort, an easy way out of his status as a servant, and Joseph does the right thing. He maintains his integrity, refuses her advances, and flees.
And his reward for his shining moral clarity.
She falsely accuses him of assault, and he is thrown into a dungeon. It is infuriating. How is that supposed to encourage a kid who is finally trying to live with integrity?
Because the unfairness is the point. The author uses this to highlight a brutal reality. Doing the right thing often costs you deeply in the short term, and you must pay it anyway.
Integrity isn't a magic spell that protects you from suffering.
No, sometimes it invites it. Joseph had to pay the price for his character. And the isolation continues. In prison, he interprets a dream for a royal official, correctly predicting the man's release.
And Joseph asks for one simple favor: remember me when you get out.
But the official completely forgets him. For 2 entire years, Joseph is left rotting in a cell, realizing nobody is coming to save him.
But as I kept reading, a massive shift in perspective happened. The author asks us to look at the pit, the slavery, the false accusation, and the forgotten prison years not as detours, but as the curriculum.
That is the pivotal insight of the entire second half of the book. None of this was an interruption of the dream, it was the necessary training for it.
If Joseph had gone straight from his father's tent to the throne of Egypt, he would have been an arrogant, tyrannical monster.
There is a line in the book that is just so profound. You cannot wisely rule what you have never suffered.
Yes, he had to learn what it felt like to be a servant so he wouldn't abuse them. He had to know the despair of the unjustly imprisoned so he would rule with justice.
All of that suffering was forging the emotional fortitude required for his final exam. Years later, Joseph is pulled from prison to interpret Pharaoh's dreams. He does so brilliantly and is elevated to second in command of Egypt.
And when the famine strikes, who shows up in Egypt, starving and begging for grain?
The brothers, the same men who threw him in a hole and sold him into slavery.
And Joseph is standing there with absolute untrapped power. They don't even recognize him. He could have ended them with a flick of his wrist. It would have been the ultimate satisfying revenge story.
He could have finally said, "I told you so." But he recognizes that the journey wasn't about punishing them. He chooses forgiveness over revenge.
And in doing so, he provides for them and saves the entire family line.
He delivers the quote that encapsulates the entire narrative arc. You meant it for evil, but God meant it for good.
He finally understood that the destination of his life wasn't the physical throne. It was becoming the kind of man who could sit on that throne without being consumed by bitterness.
The book synthesizes this into a powerful message, almost like a letter to the special child today. It advises, carry your gift quietly. The universe is not going to hand you your dream wrapped in a bow.
It is going to hand you a pit, a betrayal, and a period of obscurity. Your job isn't to wait around for someone to rescue you or recognize your brilliance.
Your job is to do the next right thing excellently, even if you are sitting in a forgotten cell where no one is clapping for you.
When we pull the lens back and look at the entire narrative, the parent and the child, we see the stark contrast between two generations. Jacob, the father, refused to examine his own childhood wound.
He never healed his inner unchosen child, and by playing favorites, he fractured his family.
But Joseph was forced to face the darkest, hardest things. He endured the pain, did the internal work, and was completely transformed by it.
He became the man who broke the cycle.
The coat broke a family, the journey healed one.
Which leaves us with a pretty provocative thought to consider long after we wrap up today. Is sibling rivalry and the urge to play favorites are really just reflections of a parent's unhealed internal ledger?
What other hidden dynamics in your family are actually inherited transcripts? Think about how your family handles money, how you process grief, or the way you react to a child's failure.
Are those your organic responses, or are you just playing back a tape from a grandparent's unhealed wound?
It requires immense courage to stop the tape, examine the ledger, and decide to write a new legacy for your own home. That is all the time we have for today. We will catch you on the next Deep Dive.